What do you do when your own daughter only sees you as a babysitter? I called my daughter to ask about Christmas plans, hoping for a warm family dinner together. Instead, she dumped 7 grandkids on me. Dad watched the kids for Christmas. You're home alone anyway. Not, can you, not would you mind, just an assignment. Like I was a tool she pulled out when she needed something and put back when she didn't. So I did something I'd never done before, and it led to 22 missed calls and 47 desperate text messages. I want to tell you the story of a father who taught his daughter what respect is. Before we continue, comment where you're watching from and what time it is. I'd love to hear from you. Another Christmas is coming. The lights are going up in my neighborhood again. Kids are making their wish lists. And me, I'm sitting here thinking about the Christmas from 2 years ago, the one that changed everything. Let me tell you what happened that year. My name is Dennis Crawford. I'm 72 now, but this story, it happened when I was 70, 2 years ago, the second Christmas without my wife, Virginia. It was early December. Denver was already covered in snow, and I was sitting in our house, the house we'd raised our daughter Monica, and feeling the weight of 2 years of silence. The place was too big for one person, 2 stories, 3 bedrooms, a dining room table that used to seat 8 at Thanksgiving, now gathering dust under a layer of mail I didn't bother sorting. I remember standing at the kitchen window that morning watching the Hendersons across the street hang their lights, red and green bulbs, the kind Virginia always loved. She'd make hot chocolate while I climbed the ladder, handing me ornaments and laughing every time I nearly slipped on the ice. But that was before the hospital, before the funeral, before I learned what it meant to wake up in an empty bed for 2 years straight. I didn't put up lights anymore. What was the point? That afternoon, I did something I hadn't done in months. I picked up the phone and called Monica, my daughter, my only child. I thought maybe this year could be different. Maybe I didn't have to spend Christmas alone. She answered on the third ring. Hey, Dad, what's up? Her voice sounded rushed, distracted. I could hear something in the background, maybe the twins arguing or the TV. Monica, honey, I cleared my throat. I was thinking, Christmas is coming up. Maybe I could come to your place, spend the day with you and the kids. There was a pause, not a long one, just long enough for my hope to flicker. Oh, Dad, actually, Andrew and I are going to Aspen. We really need a break. The words hit me like cold water. Oh, I tried to keep my voice steady. I see. Well, maybe I could. Dad watched the kids for Christmas. You're home alone anyway. I stopped breathing, just for a second. Not a question, not a request. A statement, an assumption. Monica, what else are you doing? It's just a few days. 7 kids. 7. Sophia, Olivia, Ethan the twins. Noah and Mason, little Mia, and baby Ava. I loved them. God, I loved them. But 7 kids in this house running through rooms that still smelled like Virginia's. Lavender soap tearing through the silence I'd been living in for 2 years. Monica, 7 kids is a lot for... Dad, you're retired. Her voice had that edge now, the one that meant she'd already decided. We'll drop them off on the 23rd. She didn't ask if I wanted to. She didn't ask if I could. She just told me I would. And then she said it. The thing that made something inside me crack. You're home alone anyway. Like that was all I was. Alone, available, useful. Not her father, not someone who just asked to spend Christmas with her. Just free labor. I hung up. I didn't say yes. I didn't say no. I just pressed the red button and sat there in the kitchen staring at the phone in my hand. She didn't want me there. She didn't want me at her table laughing with the grandkids, helping carve the turkey, being part of the family. She just wanted me to work for her. I sat there in the empty house. The Hendersons' lights blinked red and green through the window. Somewhere down the street, someone was playing Christmas music, and for the first time in 2 years, I felt something besides grief. I felt anger. I sat there for almost an hour. The house was dark. I never turned on the lights. I just sat, listening to nothing. Outside, the Hendersons' Christmas lights blinked through the window. Red, green, like a heartbeat that no longer belonged to me. Eventually, I picked up my phone, but I didn't call Monica back. I called someone else. Arthur Coleman, my oldest friend. We had known each other since high school. Same baseball team, same graduation. We stood beside each other at our weddings. He was also the one who stood next to me at Virginia's funeral, steadying me when my legs refused to work. He answered on the second ring. Dennis, you okay? Even after all these years, he could hear it immediately when something was wrong. Arthur, My throat tightened. I just wanted to spend Christmas with my daughter, and she didn't want me there. She wanted me to babysit. There was a pause, not awkward, just thoughtful. Let me get this straight, he said slowly. You called her, asked to come over, spend Christmas together, and she said no, but asked you to take 7 kids instead. Yes. Jesus, Dennis, he exhaled. That's cold. Maybe I'm being too sensitive, I said automatically. She's busy. She needs a break. Andrew works hard, and 7 kids, that's a lot. Stop. His voice cut clean through me. Stop defending her. You're alone in that big house since Virginia died. You reached out. You wanted family. And she turned you into free childcare. I didn't answer. Dennis, he continued gently, when was the last time she invited you over just to spend time? Not because she needed something, not repairs, not errands, just because she wanted you there. The silence stretched. I searched my memory. Thanksgiving. 2 years ago. No, I watched the kids while they shopped. Easter. Same thing. I can't remember, I finally admitted. Exactly, Arthur said. You're 70 years old. How many Christmases do you think you have left? And you're going to spend this one managing 7 kids while your daughter drinks wine in Aspen. What am I supposed to do? I asked quietly. Say no, she's my daughter. No, he replied firmly. You're her father, and she's forgotten that. You're not her employee. You're not her backup plan. You're her dad. I closed my eyes. Outside, the Hendersons' lights kept blinking. Christmas music drifted faintly from down the street. So what do? I asked. Arthur paused, then said, If it were me, I'd go somewhere. Anywhere. Let her see what Christmas looks like when you're not there to save it. Go somewhere? Yeah, the beach. The mountains. A cheap hotel if you want. Just don't be home when she shows up expecting you to fix everything. The idea felt impossible, terrifying, and strangely freeing. Why should you ask permission to live? Arthur added. She didn't ask before deciding for you. After we hung up, I sat alone in the dark. His words echoed, let her figure it out. Virginia and I had always talked about the beach. Someday she'd say, but someday never came. I opened my laptop. The screen glowed blue. I typed 2 words, Florida Keys. There it was, the beach resort Virginia and I had always talked about. I clicked the first link. White sand, turquoise water, palm trees bending in the breeze. One photo showed a couple maybe in their 60s, sitting side by side on lounge chairs watching the sun sink into the ocean. Their hands were intertwined. I unlocked my phone and pulled up our wedding photo. Virginia in her white dress, me in the gray suit I borrowed from my brother. We were 23, 24, young, certain we had all the time in the world. On Sunday mornings, Virginia used to flip through travel magazines. She'd circle places with a red pen. Someday, Dennis, she'd say, tapping the page. When we retire, when we have time. But someday never came. I looked back at the screen. Ocean view room, king bed, private balcony, available December 23rd through the 27th. My hand hovered over the mouse. Then I clicked Book Now. The form appeared. Name, address, credit card. I filled everything out slowly, carefully, like I was signing something permanent. In a way I was. Flight Denver to Key West. Direct. Departure December 23rd at 10:45 in the morning. Return December 27th at 3 p.m. Round trip $680. Resort stay 4 nights. Ocean view room $1,850. I stared at the total. It wasn't cheap, but I could afford it. Retirement savings. Social security. What was I saving for anyway? To leave everything to Monica so she could take more trips without me. I clicked Confirm Booking. A green checkmark appeared. Confirmation number 7429BK. Receipt sent to email. It was done. For the first time in 2 years, I had made a plan just for myself. I printed the confirmation, folded it, and tucked it into the kitchen drawer beneath the dish towels. Then I sat back, staring at the screen, my heart pounding. What had I just done? The next few days dragged by. I followed my routine. Morning coffee, crossword puzzle, lunch, short walks if the snow wasn't too heavy, dinner alone in front of the television. Normal, quiet, empty. 4 days later, my phone rang. Monica. I stared at her name, let it ring once, twice, 3 times. Then I answered. Hey, Dad, just confirming. You'll have the kids from the 23rd through the 26th. Right? We're leaving early on the 23rd. My stomach dropped. She spoke as if it were settled. Monica, I told you 7 kids is a lot. Dad, please, she interrupted, tired and sharp. I really need this. Andrew and I haven't had time alone in months. I was about to say it. I'm going to Florida. But I stopped. If I told her now, she'd have 2 weeks to wear me down. Calls, texts, tears, guilt. How could you? What kind of father mom would be disappointed? She was good at that, making me feel selfish for having boundaries. By Christmas, I'd probably cancel just to end the pressure. So I didn't lie. I just didn't tell her yet. I'll think about it, I said. She exhaled in relief. Thanks, Dad. You're the best. I'll text you the details. Okay. Love you. Love you too. After the call, I sat holding the phone. I wasn't being cruel. I was being smart. She assumed I'd say yes, like always. Assumed I had nothing else to do. This time she was wrong. I opened the drawer, unfolded the confirmation. Departure, December 23rd, 10:45 a.m. She planned to drop the kids off at 11. By then I'd be gone. Over the next week she sent messages, schedules, allergies, nap times. I replied with the occasional thumbs up. She thought it meant yes. I knew it meant time. The days ticked closer, and every night I stared at those dates and asked myself the same question. Was I really going to do this? A week passed. It was now December 16th, exactly 1 week before Christmas. My suitcase sat open on the bed. Summer clothes in December. I folded a pair of khaki shorts, a blue Hawaiian shirt Virginia had bought me years ago. You'll wear this someday, she'd said, laughing. When we finally go to the beach. I'd never worn it. It still had the tags on. I packed sandals, sunscreen, a book I'd been meaning to read, swim trunks that might not even fit anymore. I didn't care. I was going. I stood there looking at the open suitcase and talked to the photo on my nightstand. I'm doing this for both of us, Ginny. The trip we never got to take. Midweek my phone rang. Ruth, Virginia's older sister. Dennis Monica just called me. She said you're watching the kids for Christmas. She said that, I replied. I didn't. There was a pause. Wait, but what do you mean? I told her everything. How I'd called Monica hoping to spend Christmas with her and the grandkids. How she'd said no, but then told me to babysit 7 kids, while she and Andrew went to Aspen. That girl, Ruth's voice went sharp. Dennis, I'm so sorry. If Virginia knew, she'd be furious. I'm not watching them, Ruth. I'm going to Florida. Silence. Then a laugh, a real one. Good, it's about damn time. Does Monica know? Not yet. Oh, this is going to be interesting. I could hear the smile in her voice. Stand your ground, Dennis. You deserve this. Virginia would want you to. After we hung up, I felt lighter. Ruth was the only person besides Arthur who knew, and she didn't think I was crazy. She thought I was right. On December 20th, Monica texted again. Dad, reminder 11 a.m. on the 23rd. Kids will be at your place. I made a list of their favorite snacks and schedules. You're a lifesaver. I stared at the message. Didn't respond. She added, love you, Dad. We really needed this. I put the phone down. That night, I stood in front of the bathroom mirror. The face staring back looked old, tired, 70 years on this earth, 2 of them without Virginia, and my own daughter thought I was just there, available, useful, never important. I walked back to the bedroom. The suitcase was packed, zipped up, sitting by the door. Tomorrow morning I'd be leaving, and for once I was choosing myself. I set my alarm for 6 a.m. December 23rd arrived, the day. I woke up before the alarm. The house was dark. Outside, fresh snow covered the lawn. Across the street, the Hendersons' Christmas lights blinked red and green. Monica would be here at 11, minivan full of kids, car seats, diaper bags, expecting me to open the door with a smile and say, come on in. But by 11 I'd be gone. I made coffee. My hands were steady. I wasn't nervous. I wasn't scared. I was ready. The alarm went off at 6. Outside, snow was falling in the dark, covering the driveway in white. I stood by the kitchen window with my coffee, watching the streetlights flicker through the flakes. In 4 hours, Monica would pull up with 7 kids' suitcases, car seats, and that same expectation she'd carried for years. But I wouldn't be here. I checked my suitcase one more time. Shorts, sunscreen, the Hawaiian shirt Virginia bought me 15 years ago that I'd never worn. I zipped it closed and set it by the door. At 7:30, I opened my phone and typed the message. My hands didn't shake. I didn't hesitate. Monica, I won't be able to watch the kids this Christmas. I'm flying to Florida today. I apologize for the short notice, but I need some time for myself. I hope you and Andrew can make other arrangements. Dad? I attached the boarding pass. Then I attached a photo of my suitcase by the front door. I hit send. 3 minutes later, my phone rang. Dad, what the hell is this? Her voice was sharp, panicked. It's exactly what it says, Monica. You're joking. Tell me you're joking. I'm not. Dad, you promised I told you weeks ago. No, I said quietly. You told me you were going to Aspen. You told me you'd drop the kids off. You never asked if I could. You just assumed. Because you always do it. You've never said no before. I know. That's the problem. There was silence. Then her voice cracked. Dad, I can't cancel this trip. Andrew and I have been planning this for months. The resort's paid for. Everything's booked. You can't do this to us. I took a breath. Monica, you called me 2 weeks ago. I told you I wanted to spend Christmas with you. With the kids. As a family. And you said no. You said you were too busy. Then you told me to watch 7 children by myself so you could go to a ski resort 2 hours away. That's not fair. You didn't even ask if I had plans. You just said, you're home alone anyway. Her voice went cold. So this is what revenge, huh? No, it's me choosing myself for once. You're being selfish. Maybe I am. But you know what, Monica? I've spent the last 2 years being available. Every time you needed a babysitter, I was there. Every time you needed help with the kids, I showed up. And you know how many times you invited me over just to spend time 0. You only call when you need something. She was crying now. Dad, please. I don't know what to do. I can't find someone else this late. The kids are already packed. What am I supposed to tell them? I felt the weight of her tears. I always did. But this time I didn't let it pull me under. Tell them Grandpa has other plans. Tell them he deserves a holiday too. Mom would have never done this to us. The words hit like ice water. I closed my eyes. Your mother's been gone for 2 years, Monica, and you didn't call me on the anniversary. You didn't check in. You didn't ask how I was doing. But 2 weeks later, you called to ask me to babysit. Silence. I have to go, I said. My flight leaves in 3 hours. I hung up. At 8:30, Arthur pulled into the driveway. I grabbed my suitcase, locked the door, and got in. You okay? He asked. I don't know. You did the right thing. I nodded. I wasn't sure I believed it yet. At the airport, I checked my bag, went through security, and sat at the gate. My phone buzzed. 17 missed calls. 43 texts. I turned it off. At 10:45, the plane took off. I looked out the window as Denver disappeared below me. Somewhere down there, Monica was probably pulling into my driveway, finding the house dark, the door locked. Maybe she was crying. Maybe she was furious. Maybe both. And for the first time in 2 years, I didn't feel guilty. I felt free. 3 hours later, I stepped off the plane in Key West. The air was warm, 77 degrees. The sun was bright. Palm trees swayed in the breeze. Everything Denver wasn't. I stood there on the tarmac breathing it in, and I thought, maybe this is what moving forward feels like. The resort was right on the water. My room was on the 3rd floor with a balcony that looked out over the ocean. I stood there for a long time watching the waves roll in. The water was turquoise. The sky was cloudless. The sun was still warm at 4 in the afternoon. Virginia would have loved this. I pulled out my phone and turned it back on. It buzzed for 30 seconds straight. 47 messages. 22 missed calls. I sat down on the edge of the bed and started reading. 11:15 a.m., Dad, where are you? We're standing outside your house right now. 11:47 a.m. This is not funny. Call me back right now. 12:30 p.m. I can't believe you're actually doing this. 2:15 p.m. Andrew and I had to cancel Aspen. Are you happy now? 5:00 p.m. The kids keep asking where you are. What am I supposed to tell them? There was one from Andrew, too. Dennis, this really isn't fair. We've been saving for this trip for months. And one from Ruth. Dennis, Monica just called me crying. Stay strong. You did the right thing. I put the phone face down on the nightstand. I didn't reply to anyone. Around 5:30, I walked down to the beach. The sand was still warm under my feet. The sound of the waves was soft and steady. A few couples passed by, laughing, holding hands. I found an empty bench near the water and sat down. The sun was starting to set. The sky was turning pink and orange. I thought about Monica, about the 7 kids. Noah and Mason probably got into a fight by now. Ava was probably crying. Mia was probably begging for snacks. Ethan was probably glued to his tablet. Sophia was probably giving Monica that look, the one that says I didn't ask to be here either. But then I thought, isn't that what she chose 7 kids? 7 lives that she and Andrew decided to bring into the world. Why was it my responsibility to make their choices easier? I was 70 years old. Virginia was gone. Monica didn't want me at her dinner table. She just wanted me available, on call, ready to drop everything whenever it was convenient for her. I pulled out my phone again and opened the photo of Virginia. It was from our 25th anniversary. She was wearing that yellow dress. Her smile was so big it made her eyes crinkle. "I'm here, Ginny," I said quietly, "just like we planned. I wish you were here. I wish, I wish a lot of things." The wind picked up a little. The palm trees swayed. I sat there for a long time, watching the sun sink lower. The sky turned deeper, shades of pink and gold. It was beautiful, and I was completely alone, just like I'd been for the last 2 years. Only this time, it was my choice. My phone buzzed in my hand. A video call. Monica's name lit up the screen. I stared at it for a long moment. My thumb hovered over the red button. Then I pressed the green one instead. Her face filled the screen. Her face filled the screen. She looked exhausted. Her hair was pulled back in a messy bun. Dark circles hung under her eyes, and behind her chaos. Noah and Mason were running laps around the couch. Mia was sitting on the floor crying and pointing at a box of cookies on the counter. Ava was somewhere in the background shrieking, "Grandpa! Grandpa!" Ethan was slumped in a chair with a tablet oblivious. Sophia was sprawled on the sofa, staring at the ceiling with that teenage look of profound boredom. Olivia was yelling at someone about whose turn it was to pick the TV show. The house was a mess. Wrapping paper, toys, cups, and plates scattered everywhere. They weren't monsters. They were just 7 energetic kids on Christmas Eve with no one managing the chaos. "Dad," Monica said, her voice cracking, "how could you do this?" I looked at my daughter. My chest tightened. "Do what Monica, take care of myself. You knew we needed you." "No," I said quietly. "You needed a babysitter. You didn't need me." "That's not true." "Then why didn't you invite me for Christmas, Monica?" I called you. "I asked if I could come over, to spend the day with you and the kids. You said no." She went silent. "But you still wanted me to watch them, so you could go to Aspen. You needed my labor, not my presence." Dad, do you have any idea how hard it is taking care of 7 kids? My voice softened, but I didn't waver. "No, I don't. Because I only had 2, you and your brother, and yes, it was hard. But they were my kids, my responsibility." Andrew appeared behind her, his voice sharp. "Dennis, this really isn't fair. We had everything planned." "What's not fair, Andrew?" "That I have plans of my own, that I'm 70 years old and wanted one Christmas that wasn't work." Monica's face twisted. "You didn't have plans. You only booked this after I asked you." I paused. Then I spoke, and my voice was heavier than I meant it to be. "You're right. I did. Because when you called, I was sitting alone in an empty house, missing your mother, hoping my daughter would want to spend Christmas with me. But instead, you gave me an assignment." Monica started crying. "Oh, Dad, I love those kids, Monica. Every single one of them. But I'm tired. I'm 70 years old, and I'm lonely. This Christmas, I needed to not be a backup plan." Ava came running into the frame, her little face filling the camera. "Grandpa, you at beach, take me." I smiled, but it hurt. "Hi, sweetheart." "Yeah, Grandpa's at the beach." Monica wiped her eyes. "She's been asking for you all day. I'm sorry she's confused, but Monica, I can't keep doing this. Waiting for you to need me, but never wanting me." I turned the camera toward the water. The sunset was streaked with purple and pink. The waves rolled gently onto the sand. Monica saw it. She didn't say anything. I turned the camera back to my face. "I'm not trying to punish you, sweetheart. I'm just trying to survive. Because every time I say yes when I want to say no, a piece of me disappears." Monica stared at the screen. Her lip trembled. She didn't respond. She just looked at me for a long moment. Then she ended the call. I sat there, phone still in my hand, watching the last light fade from the sky. She ended the call. It was Christmas Eve. The next morning, Christmas Day, I woke up to silence. 2 years ago, I'd cried on Christmas morning. This year, I didn't. I went down to the resort restaurant for breakfast. Families were everywhere, kids tearing into presents, parents laughing, pouring coffee, taking photos. I sat by the window with my eggs and toast watching them. This is what I wanted, I thought. Time for myself. So why did I feel hollow? I spent the day at the pool, read a book, had dinner alone, grilled snapper and a beer. The waiter asked if I was waiting for someone. I said no. That night I thought about the kids. I wondered if Sophia helped Monica with the younger ones, if Ethan ate his vegetables, if Ava asked where I was. I checked my phone. No new messages from Monica. The next 2 days passed the same way. I walked the beach, watched the sunset, sat on the balcony with my coffee. The ocean was beautiful. The weather was perfect. But the loneliness was still there underneath everything. Freedom and loneliness, I thought. Sometimes they feel exactly the same. On December 27th, I flew back to Denver. The house was cold. The driveway was buried in snow. I opened the fridge. Just old leftovers and half a carton of milk. I sat in the living room for a long time looking at the photo of Virginia on the mantel. 2 weeks passed. No calls, no messages, nothing from Monica. I went through the motions, made coffee, read the paper, watched the evening news. On Tuesday, Arthur came over for lunch. Any word from her? He asked. Nothing. Maybe I went too far. Arthur shook his head. Or maybe she needs time to think. The following Tuesday afternoon, Ruth called. Dennis, I talked to Monica yesterday. My heart jumped. How is she? Angry, hurt, but thinking. She told me about Christmas. 7 kids, no help. Andrew was frustrated. They ended up eating frozen pizza for dinner. I didn't say anything. She asked me something, Ruth continued. She said, did I really treat him like that every holiday? What did you tell her? I said yes, and I told her how lonely you've been these last 2 years, how you called because you wanted to be with your family. And she cried, Dennis. I closed my eyes. That night my phone rang. Monica's name lit up the screen. Her voice was different. Not angry, not defensive. Quiet. Dad, can we talk? My chest tightened. I'm listening. Christmas was awful. The kids were out of control. Andrew and I fought. By noon we were exhausted. And I kept thinking, is this what I've been making you do? I didn't answer. Her voice cracked. Dad, I'm sorry. I didn't see it. I thought you were always there, always available. I never asked if you wanted to. I never asked what you needed. I closed my eyes. Part of me wanted to say, I told you so. Part of me wanted to hang up the way she had. But when I opened my mouth, different words came out. Monica, I said quietly, I can forgive you, but things have to change. I'm listening. I took a breath. If you need me to watch the kids, you have to ask, not tell. And if I say no, you accept it. No guilt trips. I understand. If it's longer than a few hours we talk about it, maybe I can help. Maybe I can't. But my time has value. Her voice cracked. You're right. I'm so sorry, Dad. I never looked at it that way. And Monica, if you want me there as your father, not as a babysitter, then invite me. To dinner. To coffee. Just to be together. I'd really like that. I really would. One more thing. Don't ever use your mother's memory to guilt me. She would never have wanted that. I know. I'm sorry, I won't. A few weeks later, I got a text. Dad, can you come over for dinner on Sunday, not to babysit? Just family. Just us. I smiled. It was the first time she'd said not to babysit. Sunday afternoon, I pulled into Monica's driveway. Before I could knock, the door flew open. 7 kids came pouring out. Grandpa, you're back. Ava wrapped herself around my leg. Grandpa, you come back from beach. I knelt down. That's right, sweetheart. Grandpa's back. Sophia stood off to the side, arms crossed. Where'd you go? I went to the beach. Sometimes grown-ups need time for themselves, too. She nodded slowly. That's fair, I guess. Inside, Monica and Andrew handled the kids. I just sat at the table, sipping coffee, talking. For the first time, I felt like a guest, not labor. Monica looked over from the kitchen. Dad, I want you to know I see you now. Not just what you can do for me, but you. And I'm grateful you're here. I nodded. My eyes stung. That night, I sat in the living room looking at Virginia's photo. I did it, Ginny. I stood up for myself, and I think we're going to be okay. Not perfect, but okay. I miss you every day, but I'm learning how to keep living. And maybe that's what you'd want. That was 2 years ago. Me and Monica, we're better now. Not perfect, but better. She calls me every week, not to ask for anything, just to talk. And when she needs me to watch the kids, she asks. Sometimes I say yes, sometimes I say no, and she respects both. At 70, I learned something I wish I'd known sooner. Being a good father doesn't mean being endlessly available. Love doesn't mean erasing yourself until there's nothing left. And sometimes the most loving thing you can do for yourself and for them is to say no. Monica needed to see what life looked like without me. Not because I wanted to be cruel, but so she could finally see me. I spent 2 years grieving Virginia. 2 years shrinking into that empty house, waiting for my daughter to need me because at least then I felt useful. But useful isn't the same as valued, and I deserve to be valued. We all do. So if you're listening to this and you recognize yourself, if you're the person who always says yes, who always shows up, who's always there when people need something but never invited when they don't, let me tell you something. Your time matters. Your presence matters. Your life matters. And you don't owe anyone your exhaustion just to prove your love. It took me 70 years and a beach in Florida to figure that out. Don't wait as long as I did. Looking back at my true story, I realize God put me through that pain for a reason. He needed me to see my own worth. And if you're listening to this, maybe He's trying to tell you something too. Don't be like me. Don't wait until you're 70 to learn that you matter. Don't spend years being useful to everyone but valued by no one. God gave you one life. Don't let other people use it all up while you sit in an empty house, waiting for the phone to ring. These grandpa stories aren't just about old men making tough choices. They're about real people learning real lessons. And here's mine saying, no isn't selfish, it's survival. Because when you lose yourself trying to please everyone else, you lose the person God created you to be. This true story taught me that boundaries aren't walls, they're bridges. They don't push people away. They invite them to see you as a whole person, not just a pair of hands. If my grandpa stories and this true story touched your heart, please leave a comment below. Share it with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe to this channel. We share more real-life lessons like this one every week. And as Christmas is coming soon, I want to wish you and your family a joyful, peaceful, and truly happy holiday. May God bless you with the courage to set boundaries, the wisdom to know your worth, and the love to forgive, but never forget. Merry Christmas, and remember, you deserve to be valued.